Over the last couple of years, I've lost count of how many times this one particular Danish microbrand has been brought up in comments. So today we're going to talk about Henry Archer. Now, because you guys have talked about it so much, late last year I finally decided it was time to check them out. And I'm just now getting around to doing the review. Now, one of the cool things about Henry Archer is they have a lot of very unusual and exotic dials, which makes picking a watch pretty hard if you're into that. But there was one particular watch that really caught my attention when I was looking. A crisp, clean-looking true GMT with a red Meteorite dial. If you've been following the channel for any length of time, you know I like red watches. In fact, I probably have, too many of them at this point. But I've never seen a red Meteorite before. And after seeing this one, I knew that was the one to get. And I gotta say, it came with a few surprises, including one that I think makes this the un-GMT GMT. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So this is the Verden GMT Meteorite Spectral Red. And while I'm not an expert on Henry Archer, this is my first experience with them. But I'm guessing that this is their primary GMT and travel watch. And I think they smartly designed it with that in mind. So Henry Archer made this a compact, comfortable 39mm, the 46mm lug-to-lug. And I believe it wears pretty true to that, and especially on its bracelet with female end links. It's also fairly thin for a true or traveler's GMT, and especially with 200 meters of water resistance, sitting right at 12.7mm. For reference, a Rolex Explorer 2 only has 100 meters of water resistance and is 12.5. And here we are looking at 12.7 from the flat sapphire to the exhibition case back, where you can see the Miyota 9075 powering it all. At 160 grams on its bracelet, give or take a link or two, I'd say it's pretty solid, but not overly heavy either. And this one is currently listed at $899 US for the Meteorite version, but only $743 if you want something less exotic. And if you go to their website, there is a 10% off code if it's your first time buying something from them. But either way, for a 9075 based GMT, that's pretty good these days. I mean, if you remember when the 9075s first came out, the Trasker Venturer, that was the cheapest one, released at $695. 4 years later, Trasker has now announced a new version. That one's sitting at $950. So 4 years later, $740 from Henry Archer is still pretty good. Otherwise, in terms of specs, it's what you'd expect for a great mid-range watch at this price point. However, what wasn't expected was the quality you get from Henry Archer. And I think this is especially apparent in the case and the bracelet. The case design here is fairly standard, fairly simple for a sports watch. But the finishing is really good, and I think punches a bit above its price point. Everything here is smooth to the touch, as well as there's nice crisp clean divisions between the brush and polished sections. Now on this red version, I really love this red inlay on the crown. Just a small extra touch to go along with the red dial. Overall, the design here comes across as primarily a tool watch, just one with some touches of refinement. Exactly what you want in a good travel watch. The only thing it's missing compared to a lot of its contemporaries is a scratch-resistant coating. I think some of their other watches have it, but I don't see it listed for this one. However, when you look at the watch itself, the areas that typically get scratched up, like the sidewall and the top of the bezel, here they are brushed, so I'm a little less concerned about it. And I do appreciate the brushed bezel. For me, it really hits home that this is more of a tool watch. And I also think it helps the dial stand out more. As for the bracelet, it is more or less a basic oyster-style bracelet, just kind of following that basic formula like the case does. There are some chamfers here running down the sides of the links, giving it some extra character. And at the same time, the bracelet itself, the quality is absolutely excellent. There's a nice finish, great solid feel to it, good articulation, as well as end links with a great fit. And on top of that, those same female end links have quick release. The clasp itself is also excellent with a good on-the-fly adjustment system. Now, the on-the-fly adjustment system here is a little bit of an older design. It's very similar to the type Christopher Ward was using until recently. But that's not necessarily a negative, because at this point it's a tried and true system. And speaking of Christopher Ward, there's a lot here that reminds me of old school Christopher Ward, or pre-Belcanto Christopher Ward. Back when they were making the best quality watches south of the $1,000 price point. Because back then, with Christopher Ward, the designs were pretty safe. If you go back to some of my older reviews, that was one of my few complaints on them. I mean, the watches themselves were practically perfect. It was kind of like they found a formula to perfection and they were following it to a T. But if you wanted something a little different, with maybe a little bit more character, that was the one stumbling block when you came to Christopher Ward. And I think there's a lot here with the case and the bracelet design and the quality of it that reminds me of those earlier Christopher Wards. Picking this up, it reminded me of the first time I saw a Christopher Ward Trident or a Sealander. However, where Henry Archer deviates from that formula, where it shows its own character and forges its own path, is with its dials. Because where old school Christopher Ward dials were stuck to the basic tried and true colors, Henry Archer is doing anything but that here. I mean, just go check out their website for a few minutes. You'll see a variety of vibrant colors, interesting textures, intriguing patterns, and exotic materials. This red meteorite right here is just the tip of the iceberg. And for someone like me that wants a comfortable, well-made watch with maybe just a little bit something extra, yet not too much extra, I don't want something gaudy or gauche. Well, if you're like me, I think you'll find a lot to love with Henry Archer. The mosaic dials look particularly cool, but like I said earlier, I was drawn to this red meteorite. Although if you haven't noticed already, this really isn't red, or at least not red. It's more like a dark burgundy or maroon. Now, it is still a very rich color, but in a different way than I was expecting. However, since it is meteorite, there's still a bunch of unique character and texture to it as well. And I think that striking deep color plays well with all that, almost enhancing those grooves and textures while still keeping a metallic sheen. This is a dial that I think the images here will speak for themselves. And if you like this dial, but not the rest of the watch, you don't want a GMT, I believe they do have this dial in a few of their other watches. Just go look through their site to see. Now, zooming in here, you'll see that just like the rest of the watch, the applied indices and the hands, the rest of the dial looks pristine. And again, very impressive for the price. It is a sharp-looking dial to be sure, but this is also where I start to have a few issues with the design. And most of this does come down to my own personal preferences, such as all the hands being a tad short or the black-looking date wheel. I think that looks just maybe a little bit off for the design. As well as the dial itself with this GMT track on the outer edge does look pretty crowded. And then you have the cardinal points. Here, they are a little bit more pronounced, but I would like them to be a little bit larger, a little more obvious that they're different. And I think that's something you could say about the GMT hand as well. On most GMTs, the GMT hand is a slightly different color, and they do that to help it stand out, but here it doesn't and it blends in a little more. And I think all of this makes this GMT just a little bit harder to read than the others. And when I say little, I mean little, like maybe a second or a fraction of a second longer, but still the point remains. However, at the same time, I think this is one thing that's really interesting about this watch, that at the same time, the watch as a whole is fairly clean compared to a lot of other GMTs. Because if you notice, the bezel here is clean, which is really odd for a sports GMT. Usually you have a GMT track on it. And when you take in some of the other aspects that I was just complaining about, like the GMT hand not standing out or the cardinal points, then I think you'll notice that at first glance, this really doesn't come off as a GMT. It comes off more like a regular three-hander. It's not until you start taking a closer look do you notice the GMT elements. And I think that's one thing that helps this stand out. And whether it was done on purpose or it's just Nordic minimalism at work, the Verden comes across as a GMT for those that don't like traditional GMTs, for those that think they're too busy. And this winds up becoming an interesting middle ground, where you lose a lot of that distraction and the key elements of the watch still shine through, making it kind of the un-GMT GMT. And speaking of shine, let's talk Lume for a second. Henry Archer went with a pretty basic setup with this one, where there's blue BGW9 everywhere. It's nice and sharp looking, but unfortunately the painted on GMT track fades out pretty quick. However, there is some pretty good lume on the hands and the indices, where those easily outpace a Seiko diver. So this is one that's not crazy good or blinding bright, but it also shouldn't disappoint you either. It's just a good solid application of BGW9. And lastly, let's talk about the movement for a second. Although I kind of don't want to. I feel like enough people already know about the 9075, but there are some people that aren't familiar with it. So I still got to do it. But if you feel like you know enough about the 9075, just skip ahead. Now, essentially, the 9075 by Miyota is a true or traveler's GMT. It was introduced a few years ago, and by true or travelers, I mean that the hour hand independently jumps around, versus, say, the GMT hand, which on that we'd call that a collar's GMT. And in this price range for a collar's GMT, you'd find one using a Seiko NH34 or a Sleeta SW330. Now, there's nothing wrong with those, it's just a different system, with their own individual quirks to it. But a traveler's GMT is typically thought to be more useful when you're traveling, because your brain is already hardwired to look at the hour hand, not the GMT hand when you're telling time, and that's what you're adjusting to where you're at. The only downside to a true GMT is the lack of a quick set date. So to set the date, you got to move the crown out to the first position, and then when you rotate backwards or forwards, it adjusts the hour hand. And then you just rotate it backwards or forwards till you get the date you want. And again, notice I said backwards, because that is one advantage here. That if the watch is set for the 16th and it's actually the 15th, it's easy just to go back one. And as a side note, the rotor noise here is a little bit louder than I typically expect from a normal 9075. It's not bad, it's not going to keep you up at night or anything like that, but it is something you'll probably notice. Bottom line, this is an extremely well-made and versatile GMT with a pretty striking dial. And I think you could say that about the entire Verden GMT line. And if this watch is any indication, I think that comparison to old school Christopher Ward is just a great way to look at the brand. Because if you've been collecting for a while and you remember that phase of Christopher Ward, you'll have a good idea of what to expect with Henry Archer. And if you've been missing that side of Christopher Ward, you kind of have that here now. Now, I'm not quite ready to give Henry Archer the title of best watches under $1,000 that Christopher Ward used to have. At least not without seeing a few more from them. But I definitely want to see a few more. Now, as usual, let me know your thoughts on this one down below, and especially if you're a Henry Archer fan, let me know which one is your favorite. As well as let me know which one you'd like me to review next. And as always, I'm Shane, this is Relative Time, and I'll see you next time.